Alcatraz, the island of no escape. Amidst the freezing waters of the San Francisco Bay, a fortress rises, isolated from the rest of the world. This isn't just a prison. This is where hope goes to die. They call it the Rock. Alcatraz. Between 1934 and 1963, America's most dangerous criminals were sent here. Al Capone, Machine Gun Kelly, and Robert Stroud, known as the Birdman. They all had one thing in common. Other prisons couldn't hold them. But Alcatraz was different. This place was inescapable. The distance between the mainland and the island was only 1.25 miles. But that stretch was a deadly barrier, filled with treacherous currents and sharks. Authorities had a saying, if you escape Alcatraz, you don't survive. However, history remembers those who attempt the impossible. In 1960, a new inmate arrived on the island, a Z-1441, Frank Morris. Highly intelligent, cold-blooded, and patient. He didn't rely on muscle to beat the system. He relied on his mind. Morris wasn't alone. He recruited the Anglin Brothers, John and Clarence. Together, this trio began to weave the most complex, creative, and audacious escape plan in prison history. The plan was simple: tunnel through the walls, climb the ventilation shaft, build a raft, and cross the bay. But to do this, they had no drills, no materials. All they had were spoons stolen from the mess hall, loose change, and unlimited patience. Every night for months, while guards patrolled, they chipped away at their cell walls. To mask the noise, they used the music of a fellow inmate playing the accordion. The concrete surrendered, millimeter by millimeter. But the biggest problem was how to hide their absence from their beds at night. The solution was a bizarre mix of art and crime. Using soap, toilet paper, and real human hair stolen from the barber shop, they crafted ultra-realistic dummy heads resembling themselves. And the raft, they stitched together about 50 raincoats. Using the heat from steam pipes, they melted and sealed the seams. In the secret utility corridor behind their cells, they had set up what was essentially a workshop. The night of June 11th, 1962. Lights out, the guards made their final checks. Morris and the Anglin brothers placed the dummy heads in their beds and slipped into the darkness behind the walls. They climbed the ventilation shaft to the roof. From a height of 30 feet, they descended into a blind spot. Reaching the shoreline, they scaled the barbed wire, launched their inflated raft into the water, and then silence. When morning came, guards entered the cells for the wake-up call. When a guard nudged Clarence Anglin's pillow, what fell to the floor wasn't a human head, but a broken mask. By the time the alarm sirens wailed, it was already too late. The FBI hunted them for years. No bodies were ever recovered from the water, only a washed-up life vest and some personal effects. Official reports claimed they drowned, but rumors that their families received nameless flowers for years never ceased. In 2013, a letter reached the police. The writer claimed to be John Anglin. "We made it," it said, but barely. The letter's authenticity was never proven, but the seeds of doubt were sown once again. Today, Alcatraz is a silent museum visited by tourists. Walking its corridors, you can smell the damp air and see the hole in Frank Morris's cell. Did they survive, or were they swallowed by the dark waters of the bay? This remains the Rock's greatest kept secret.